Good evening. Today's topic, 10-minute power lesson. What do I do about despair? What do I do if I'm on the verge of despair? What do I do if there's so much uncertainty and instability from the riots and the protests and the corona and what's going to be in the fall? So what do I do? Listen to another home run letter from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. One of his letters. I'm going to share the screen now so you could all see it. Okay. 1 second. Take a look over here. Hold on. Okay. So this letter was written countering despair. I found it in English, so we have it right here in front of us in English. Greetings and blessings. By the grace of God, 11th of Tishrei 5729, Brooklyn, New York. So the Rebbe writes, I hereby acknowledge receipt of your letter, undated, in which you write about your mood, etc. And it's obvious from this letter that the Rebbe is writing to somebody who wrote that he is despairing. He's despairing. So listen carefully. It is a great wonder that a Jew could be in such a mood. How can a Jew despair? It doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter if there's corona, if there's uncertainty, if your president is not going to win the election in November, you still do not despair. Why? Because any person, and especially a Jewish person, is not allowed to despair. As explained and emphasized in our Torah, the Torah of life, Torah is related to the word hora'ah. You see, in Hebrew, the word Torah is hora'ah, instruction, teaching. And Torah contains instructions for our day-to-day lives. So first of all, don't despair. First of all, you're not allowed to despair. First of all, says the Rebbe, I don't know how you could despair. Because if you follow Torah, Torah is teaching and instruction for our day-to-day life. It is also understood that since every Jew has a soul, every single Jew has an neshama, soul, godly soul inside of him or her, which is literally a part of God above, that means that you are part of God. You are part of the creator. You're not a created being, you are the creator. There's no place for despair. Rather, one must strengthen the connection and open channel between a person and God, who is the source of life and blessings. And let me just explain what that means. The story is told of Rabbi Meir from Premishlan. Rabbi Meir from Premishlan, in the winter, when it was very freezing cold in Eastern Europe, he used to live on a mountain pretty much, and he used to go from on top of that mountain to the mikveh every morning. The mikveh was like, he had to go downhill. So he had to go, basically he was going through the snow. And there were two skeptics who watched him for a couple of days, and they noticed that he never falls down. He goes down the mountain, goes down the mountain, and he does not fall. So they said, oh, there's got to be something with the snow. It's pretty easy. We could do it ourselves. It's not miraculous. We'll try it ourselves. So the next morning, they went themselves and they walked down the mountains. And as they took their first few steps, they tumbled and fell. That's what happened. They tumbled and fell. So they came to Reb Meir and they asked him, I don't understand. We see you doing this every single morning and yet you do not fall. And we tried it once and we fell. So Reb Meir said a very, very powerful lesson. He said, when one is connected above, one does not fall below. And that is a very, very, very powerful lesson in life in general. When you are connected above, you do not fall below. You see, the problem is, why do we despair? Where does despair come from? It comes from the fact that we're not connected above enough. But when you connected above, when you connected to Torah, when you connected to God, when you placed your trust in God, you are connected above, you will not fall below. You will not have any issues below. You won't fall below, you won't stumble below, and you will not despair below. In fact, this is also the message that says in this week's Torah portion. You see, I'm going to put the screen in front of you. In this week's Torah portion, God says the Jews despaired. That's what happened. The Jews basically despaired. There was a problem. They couldn't go into one land, and they had to go back in the desert. And verse number 5 says, "Vayidaber ha'am be'elokimu v'Moshe." The nation spoke to God and to Moses. And once you have one trouble, they started blaming Moses for all the troubles. Like They've been like 38, 39 years in the desert already, 38, 39 years out of Egypt. And they start saying, why did you take us out of Egypt? Lamut bamidbar, to die in the desert. Ki ein lechem ve'ein mayim. There's no bread, there's no water, and we don't like this terrible bread. They started complaining about the miraculous bread, the manna that fell down from heaven every single morning. They started despairing. Why did you bring us out? Tell me, why are we going to die in the desert? Like, hello? But they despaired. So what God did is, he sent them snakes. There were snakes, and the poisonous snakes, and many, many Jews died. So now they were really, really bad down and under. What happened is, when they realized the mistake and they started praying to God again, so Moses prayed for the nation. And here's the verse which says, verse number 8, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, God spoke to Moses and he said to him, Aselech hasaraf, make like a snake, v'simoto al nes, like hang it by a pole, v'ya kol hanashuch v'ra'o tov achai, whoever was bitten, they should look up at the snake and they will be cured. So if you look at Rashi here at the end, is it that the snake makes you live and cures you? Like, what do you mean? They look up at the snake and now they cured. What in the world does that mean? So Rashi explains, when the Jews looked up, they started to realize God. The point of the snake being up there is that they started appreciating and connecting with God. How could they take away their despair? How could they take away their melancholy and depression and sadness by looking up, by remembering, there's a God in the world. They started now connecting and serving, connecting their hearts to God Almighty. Now they were cured. Also, the other idea is a snake is something which is considered venomous. A snake is the first man, Adam and Chava, who sinned was because of a snake. So God wanted to say the snake sometimes makes you sin, but sometimes it also cures you. But it's not the snake, it's me. But the point that God wanted to tell the Jews who were despairing in this week's Parsha, look up. When you are connected above, you do not fall below. And that is this beautiful and powerful letter that the Rebbe wrote over here to this person. Right? Look at it again. It is also understood that since every Jew has a soul, which is literally a part of God above, there's no place for despair. Rather, one must strengthen the connection and open channel between a person and God, who is the source of life and blessings. So what should we do today in Corona and COVID-19? I don't know. Will there be a second wave? Trust in God that everything will be fine. Do I have to panic? Absolutely not. Do I have to fear? Absolutely not. What do I need to do? Trust in God. Look up. When one is connected above, one does not fall below. And the end of the letter is this connection is developed in one's daily conduct according to God's instruction in his Torah, beginning from donning the tefillin on every weekday, ensuring that one's mezuzot are kosher. So every single person on his or her level should, in this time, take upon himself or herself one extra mitzvah, lighting Shabbat candles, learning a little bit extra Torah, connecting to God during this pandemic, during this crisis, which it looks like we're in it for the long haul, the long run. And hopefully I'm wrong, that's not the case. But what do you need to do? Strengthen your connection to God. In fact, utilize the time that you don't need to commute to work. You can work from home. Utilize the extra few minutes you have to connect to God. Find a lesson, a Torah lesson every single day that you can learn. Put on tefillin, light Shabbat candles, do a mitzvah, give charity. If you will be in contact with our office in Paris, they will gladly give you the necessary information, the Rebbe writes. May it be the will of God that you will share good tidings, especially as we have entered the new year, a good and sweet year, both materially and spiritually, with blessing on behalf of the Rebbe. I believe this is a very, very powerful message and letter from the Rebbe. It's something we need to internalize. But the point of the letter is, during this crisis, use it as a beautiful and perfect opportunity to connect more deeply with God. And thereby, you will not despair. You will not panic. You will not have negative thoughts. You will not have anything to worry about because you are connected to God. I personally wake up in the morning. First thing I do is I learn some Torah, I learn some Chassidut, I meditate, I contemplate on the existence of God. I then go to pray, and only after that do I start my day. I start my day by being connected to the one above. Have a wonderful day. Feel healthy, stay safe, and keep in touch.